Okay, so to get started on your drawing, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use a light pencil. So one of these, like just a 2 HB pencil is fine, like a normal pencil, or you can use one of our drawing pencils, that's fine as well. What's important is that, again, you want to be drawing lightly. If you'll notice, on my drawing paper and my photo, I've got the numbers lined up. And so my photo printed at 7.5, but I'm gonna go back and reprint my photo and redo the grid for the photo because I figured out how to make it 8 by 10. But anyways, I've got numbers corresponding at the top to the same as on my whatchamacallit, drawing paper. So to start with, what I want to do is I'm just going to go square by square, and there's a couple different ways that you can kind of just focus on it. So you can take like a extra piece of paper if you want and just kind of cover everything else so that you're just looking at that one square, kind of blocking out the rest of it. And I like to start like kind of at the top. So I'm gonna start at 2, and I'm looking at the square and kind of figuring, okay, right about here is where the hair starts. And then it kind of comes down and goes over. And then I'm just gonna stop there. And then I'm gonna come over to square number 3, and I'm gonna draw that sort of line. And when we shade all of this in, it's just gonna be shapes and color, like, or shapes and values. So you don't have to get too worried right at the start here. Like, you just kind of want to notice different lines and different shapes. So there's a tonal change here, so I'm going to try to outline that. I'm using light and sketchy lines. And then over in square number 4. To square number 5. And that comes down. And then over here at square number 6. Over to 7. Now I'm not going to focus on little tiny hairs here. I'm just going to wait. So now I can bring this down and I can continue. Now, once you kind of start to feel a little bit more comfortable, you can sort of follow, like, for example, the hairline. I might just follow that. all the way until it kind of, so I could be just focusing on like this. And I'm using these numbers as sort of a guide to be able to make sure that I'm looking at the correct square. So 4, 7. And I know that my face, side of my face comes in a little bit more here. And again, this comes back to that idea that, you know, right now you're just doing like a placeholder to kind of figure out where it goes. It doesn't need to be exact. We just want to get the idea down. So I'm just going to lightly erase this because this is going to be a darker value because the hair is in there. So another thing that you can do is you can take your ruler and actually measure. So like, for example, where I was drawing this, I started to, like, I felt that it was up closer, but it's actually further down a little bit. And the height of the curve is over a little bit more. So I can adjust my lines still, but it's kind of like a check and guess, or guess and check. Sorry, guess and check, not check and guess, for this process. So a lot of it is going to be like carefully observing what you think you see and what you actually see. So checking against like where it actually is on the ruler and everything, that's going to be different than probably what you actually draw. And I'll show you also like another little tip. Let me just go grab some tracing paper. So I've got some tracing paper, and you can do this with a piece of tracing paper or, you know, whatever. I'm gonna line it up on the corner carefully. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually trace these things. So I'm just kind of outlining any like serious value changes and the shapes that I can obviously very clearly see. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that back up to about where it should be. And I can see that my shape isn't that off. So I'm good. This is just like a nice way to kind of keep checking the work that you're doing. And it's not actually like, it's not cheating because I'm not taking my tracing paper and like using that, or taking my my drawing over to the tracing table. But that's like another thing that you can do too, just to double check, is like take your picture, put it underneath, and we do have the tracing table at the front of the room. And you would just turn it on. So there's a little power button. And you can just lay your picture down. Oops. And just check to make sure, you know, that this is not really gonna give you a ton to see. Like, again, you're just gonna see the value changes. So this can be used as an aid to sort of help you mark out little things as you're going along. It's not really like a useful solution for long-term stuff, but just to kind of make it a little bit easier on you. This helps you to sort of mark out those big things. But a lot of these things should be relatively easy to place because, for example, the lips, I can see them very clearly in relation to the line. That's why we're doing the grid, because the grid really helps you to see where everything should go.